Welcome to the WNBF UK podcast.
Okay, guys, welcome to another WNBF UK podcast. You're here with myself, Leon Mitchell, WNBF Pro, and I'm joined with another pro. I've got Lucy Marsella with us, who is a pro WNBF. Lucy, how are you doing?
Hello, yeah, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on the show. Today, I want to dive into everything bikini, all right? 'Cause I think the listeners will thoroughly enjoy it. People looking to consider competing as a bikini class, they will find it really insightful. So let's dive deep into bikini. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do.
So I'm from Dartford, which is in Kent. So I go to my local gym, which is in Crayford Weights. In terms of work, I answer the 999 calls for the police. So the emergency calls. So it's a lot of shift work, which is why it works quite well with my training, because obviously I just work around my shifts. So if it's nights, earlys, lates, and the gym sort of times work around that, if that makes sense. So it does fit in very well, sort of shift work, rather than a 9 to 5 job. I mean, literally all I do at the moment is work and train, to be honest. So
Hey, you can't complain with that.
No,
you're still getting them gains, right?
Exactly.
So how did you get into training? Like, where did it all come to? Like, when you got into fitness and you just wanted to kind of use fitness as a nice way to kind of get you where you are now?
Yeah, so you know what? When I first started, I didn't even have bodybuilding or competing in mind at all. Like, I must have started it. It was the year of the lockdown, but like the January. So it was that 2020. It must have been 2020. Is when I joined my gym, which it's a bodybuilding gym, but I didn't join it for that reason. I just joined it as a local gym sort of thing. And obviously I had like 2 months there, and then we went into a lockdown. So it was sort of like, just as I was getting into it a little bit, we got locked down. But I don't know, I just kept it up over lockdown. I bought loads of stuff and I just kept going with it, like, on my own. And then just got into a really good place with it. I only had light weights and things and stuff from home. That was only so much I had. But I just did it literally every day. And if I wasn't doing that, I would have gone insane over the lockdown and things like that. So yeah, obviously when we come out of it and I was back at the gym, I had quite a good sort of starting spot. And then I had a coach, and obviously we looked into sort of competing and that sort of thing. Then we just sort of took it from there. So yeah, nice. I just sort of fell in love with it over lockdown, to be honest.
And I think a lot of people have similar stories as well. Lockdown just got a lot of people thinking a little bit different about health and fitness, right? So people just grabbing items wherever they could, and just started just move effectively, rather than to kind of be just up inside your house and not get any kind of any movement happening. So that's a great way that you kind of landed and kind of continued your fitness journey as well.
Yeah, I just sort of just look like on Instagram, Google, like looking up stuff like, what's a EAA, that sort of thing. And I was just sort of little by little was just putting it together, literally on my own. And then I got into like a routine with food and things like that. Like, it was weird. Like, I just went into this like lane where it was literally like I was training, eating, everything like that, and it was all just falling into place. And then it was just like a good starting position, like I say, when we got back into the gyms and things like that. So
nice. So then once you come back to the gym, so how long after you was back in the gym did you kind of think, okay, you know what, I'm getting into this serious, I'd like to see other aspects of where my training can go? How long was it after?
So it wasn't long at all. It must have been, I was speaking to my coach, and he obviously clocked sort of my progress, and he was like, you're in a really good shape sort of position. And to be honest, ever since I started, like even at the start when I first joined that gym, a lot of people said to me, like, your figure, I've always been quite small, would be perfect to build on for like a bikini category. So I always had it in the back of my mind, but obviously when I come back, I thought, like, I can actually do this, like, I think I can actually do it. And then we just sort of went from there. So it wasn't long it was literally like in the first month, I was like, yeah, I want to compete. I
So
wanted to do it like then. Like if there was a competition, I would have gone in for it. Obviously, I wasn't ready, but I was just like in the mindset where I was like, oh, I've been working hard over lockdown. Let me get on stage, but it doesn't work like that.
So you it's quite rapid for you then, basically, based on those timelines that, you know, you pretty much just went from kind of just being a very much just a gym novice to kind of empowering yourself through self-research, getting a coach, going through lockdown. And then on the other side, literally everyone kind of, you know, saying, hey, you got a physique, and then just thinking, okay, cool, I want to, you know, go into a show. You know, how did that feel as obviously someone who's never stepped on stage before, never even thought about competing? Was it you not nervous?
Oh, I was absolutely terrified. I mean, at my first show, I can't even explain how much I was shaking. Like, obviously, girls wear heels, don't we? So I was shaking. I looked like Bambi. My coach was honestly, my coach was backstage with me. He was basically like pushing me because I was like, I'm not going on. Like, I was so nervous. Because obviously, really leading up to it, all I was thinking about was the training, the eating. Like, you don't even have time to think, I've actually got to stand on stage. Like, you just don't think about that. You practice your posing, but like what I didn't think about actually being on stage in front of people or anything like that. So obviously when it was happening, I was just sort of like literally didn't think about it until I was stepping on stage, which is a good thing because I didn't sort of worry about it at all, like not before anything like that. But it was just in that moment I was like, oh, whoa, like it's a bit real.
But then how did you prepare for getting into the stage? So obviously once you had that conversation with your coach and you was like, you know what, I want to get on stage. You know, did your training then shift dramatically to a different type of training style that you just never was used to, and you had to just make some adaptations? You know, what did training look like for you leading into your first show?
I mean, so I started training start of 2020. So all of 2020 was basically lockdown training, so training from home. And I'd say we had them 2 months, didn't we, where they were like, oh, you can go back to the gym. So we went back to the gym and then we got put back into it. So then I think that was like November time. So from November to like April, I was doing it from home again. So really the only training when I first started properly training in the gym was from August 2021. And obviously I stepped on stage in September. Not August, sorry, April. So April, May, June, July, August, September. So I only had like 5 months of actual training, like in a gym, which was completely different to obviously training from home. Like obviously we've got really good machines and stuff in the gym. But
I've seen that set up down there. It looks epic.
It's a strong gym. So it was just sort of like, for me as well, I walked in and I was like, right, I'm gonna take it slow and obviously work out how to actually like use these machines, because I'm using like free weights at home, do you know what I mean? But I'm quite lucky, like with that gym's very sort of like tight, like it's just like one massive family, so everyone's like willing to help everyone. So I just sort of literally learned from there. People are willing to sort of teach you new techniques, that sort of thing. And then we literally took it from there. But it was quite a big jump. But even like yesterday I was thinking, when I was hip thrusting at home, like I was thinking back, it's so weird, I was thinking back and I was hip thrusting 20 kg on the side of my bed and I was struggling, and then the other day at the gym I did 180 and I was like, it was easy, it was ridiculous. I was thinking, wow, like how far you actually come. But so about 5 months in the gym with like proper training, then we stepped on stage.
Wow. And then how did that affect you with work and stuff like that? Because obviously you had to, you know, you're still working. I'm guessing you're still doing the call center stuff, handling the calls, doing your shift work. And then now having the added pressure of, you know, going into your first show, your training requirements are going to be quite demanded. How did you balance work and training?
So like I said, I'm quite lucky in terms of shifts. So if I was on a night shift, for example, I wouldn't start till 10 o'clock at night. So really it gives me the whole day. Obviously when I get in, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning, so I sleep, literally wake up and then go to the gym. So it was literally a case of I was just training and then going to work, coming home, sleeping, training, going to work. It was literally like that. But where I was in such a routine with it, I didn't really think of anything else, if that makes sense. It's weird, like I just got into this mindset where I was like, eat, sleep, train, eat, sleep, at work. Like, it was literally like that. But I mean, even it was a massive change. It's weird. It didn't like affect my mindset, but it was a massive change because I used to go out all the time. Like I used to be out every weekend drinking, like literally before lockdown, I'd be out. And now like I hardly ever drink, I hardly ever really go out. But that's not because I don't want to. It's just because like I've just feel like my life has changed so much. this is my life now, and this is what I love doing and things like that. Like I used to love going out, and now I love being able to train and obviously doing what we do.
Yeah.
It's mad like how much has actually changed in like literally like 2 years.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. You know, it shifts your mindset a little bit, and you become focused on your goals and just achieving what you need to. And again, having supportive people around you just makes it easier for you to stay, you know, focused on what you need to focus on and keep things moving.
Yeah, and my work, like they know what I do and things like that. Like they're quite very supportive of it. Like when we went Vegas, they gave me the time off to go, and it's normally quite difficult to get time off, where it's sort of like the police. It's quite hard, but they allowed me to sort of go there, organise that for me, things like that. So it's sort of like little things like in the office, someone will bring in like loads of cakes and things like that, and they'll be like, oh, like Lucy, and they know I can't have it, so it's like that, but they're fine. Like everyone's really supportive of it at work as well. So it's not.
And then what about the food side of things? Obviously, going into your first show, you know, foods are going to be slightly different. You're going to be in a calorie deficit somewhat for a bit of time. And, you know, so how did you approach that? Was it just like a big shock to you? Because obviously as I said, you've gone from lockdown to kind of not having any experience and then going to compete. And then now you're in a whole different world. So how did you approach that?
Yeah, so I was literally having chicken and rice twice a day. So my main thing was the eating. Like I was fine with training, I could train all day long, but the eating, it was making sure I actually eat. Like I used to struggle eating a lot. So what we did was, me and my coach, so I was literally having oats. So from like the April to September, that's when we sort of was starting like prep mode, that sort of thing, which is quite a long time, but it was to get into a routine with it, if that makes sense. So I was literally having oats, chicken and rice twice a day, shake. It was really, really simple, so that I could eat it. And I was having 3 meals, but my third meal was like a shake with carb powder, because I literally couldn't eat another meal. Like I was really struggling with it. So that was the only bit I struggled on. Whereas now I can eat like 4 chicken and rice, steak and pasta, like, and I'll still be hungry. Like it's so mad. I need some more food.
Because Lucy's now a machine, so now she needs to fuel that machine.
So I mean, it was just that was probably the main struggle for me, like making sure I get all their meals in. But where I was just so focused with it, I was literally like, I'd force it. If I knew I hadn't eaten a meal, I'd set my alarm and I would wake up during the night and eat my last meal. Like it was weird. It was sort of like that. But again, it wasn't something that I like questioned. Like, I just did it. It's part of routine. Like, I just did it.
But it sounds like you had a good coach on your side, obviously, kind of, you know, breaking down some of the barriers that might have presented itself in terms of say, okay, looking at the foods and saying, okay, how can we instill consistency, but at the same time make it work for you? You know, how can we simplify the meals coming in, but then they still getting boxed off, right? And that's why I think having a coach who understands you and will take the time to kind of figure out different ways of getting around some of the barriers, enables you to move forward, right?
Yeah, he was really, really supportive. Like, obviously we trained together, and then he did all like my meal prep and things like that. And yeah, we sort of worked it out that way. But it wasn't. I don't really know how to explain. Like I'd never done an off season or anything like that. Like we literally went straight into prep. I never had. This is my first off season, what I'm in now. So it was literally sort of like just going into prep mode. But where obviously over lockdown, where I did my research, I was just having sort of chicken and rice anyway, because I thought that's what bodybuilders eating, it chicken and rice. So that's what I tasted. So I was already sort of used to doing that. But yeah, no, he was really good. Like he would sort of, like I said, if I couldn't eat something, he'd be like, right, we'll do a shake, and then we'd sort of work on it from there. And then obviously with the prep, like when we was like a week out, whatever, we took away the rice, and obviously you have asparagus, things like that. But he was on it, but we just kept it simple because it was my first time. Like he was like, I don't want to overcomplicate things. Like this works, it's working, so let's just leave it as it is. And then and it did work. So
you bought it off, you got a good result out of it, right? So what about the bikini part, right? So obviously you said, okay, you're going to compete. You've obviously chosen your category. You're going to go into bikini, right? So then there's a lot of more other factors for bikini competitors to go into that mix, right? So you've got to find a bikini, right? Then you've got to find your shoes, right? And then you've got posing in the shoes, and then, you know, nailing your mandatories. So talk to me about that process, okay? In terms of, okay, getting those shoes, working in the posing practice and then deciding to get the bikini? How did it go down for you? How did you find it?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll start off with posing. Posing was my worst nightmare when I first started doing it. I literally thought I would never ever pick it up. I remember trying to do it just on my own. I thought I have no idea, like even how to position my body. And then I met a lady in the gym who literally took me under her wing, and she was literally like, "This is how you do it." And she just went through. She literally went through it one time with me, and I got it straight away. It was weird. It just clicked. And literally since then, I just kept practicing. I practiced every single day for months and months and months until it was like perfect in my mind. And it was just, but it's weird. So I'd say like, obviously, if someone's worried about posing, don't be worried about it, because you will get it. It will literally just click one day. Honestly, it just will. Shoes. I just went for the blingiest pair I could find because that's just my style preference. I went for style rather than, I'd say, comfort. But a lot of girls obviously pick comfort over style, which is sensible if you're in it like a long time on stage. But you can buy stuff to put in the shoes, things like that, to make them more comfortable. But to be honest, posing shoes are a lot easier to walk in than people think. And a lot of federations, they've got to be a certain height anyway, so don't worry about them having to be high, because they don't. I think it's between 3 and 5 inches, which is normally like the set sort of height. Mine are 5, but that's just because I prefer sort of walking in them. But they're the ones I've used literally from September to November, so I use them for each competition, and you just break them in, and they just become like wearing trainers. Honestly, it's weird. And the bikini. So
because I've heard some stories about bikinis costing an arm and a leg, right?
Honestly,
and, I'm like, wow.
They are expensive, which is why on my Instagram, all you'll see me in is my pink bikini, because I wore that. I paid a lot of money for that bikini. I'm getting my money's worth out of it. I walked in, so I went with Bikini Mum to get my bikini, and I walked in saying, like, I had this tracksuit on actually saying that, and I walked in, I was like, I want it to be this colour I want. I don't want pink. Like, I was just like, no, I can't have pink. Like, it's my favourite colour, but I wanted to be like different, and I wanted this green. And then she was like, oh, I'll just show you a pink one. And it was literally like neon bright pink. And I was like, oh, no, I've got to have that. I just saw it and I was like, that's my bikini. So like, I changed my mind like that. I did have something in mind, like I say, but she'll show you something, or you'll see something, you'll be like, no, that's a bit of me. So I'll have that. And it is literally like unreal. Like, they last. They don't, mine's never fallen apart or anything like that. Like, they really are worth the money. Obviously at first you're a bit like, whoa, like you don't pay that much money normally for a bikini, like to go on holiday or anything like that, but they don't compare, if you know what I mean. Like, I always get people saying, oh, could you wear it on the beach then? No, you can't wear it on the beach. That's not what you're paying for. You're paying for it to be a stage bikini. But it's well worth the money. Like I say, it lasts, and I'll probably wear it again this year. I will get a new one, just so obviously I've got more than one. A lot of girls get.
So who kind of gave you a bit more steer in terms of what you needed, within that class for bikini, in terms of making sure that you got the right shoes, that you kind of allocated a bikini at the right time? Was there anyone giving you guidance along that process? Was it the same lady that was helping you out with your posing?
No. So with all that sort of bits, again, it was just sort of me. Like, I was just sort of looking stuff up, like, this is what I need, going through Instagram, and there's a girl on Instagram who runs Compact, it's called, and it is literally everything to do with competing, bikinis, jewellery, stage, everything, and that was really, really helpful. The girl that runs it, I think her name's Jasmine, it definitely begins with J, but she's such a nice girl, and she runs Compact, and she basically puts everything together, and I was just reading through that. It's like an article thing, and that was really, really helpful for me, where obviously there's not many people that I knew at that time well enough to be like, what do I need for bikini? Because I was new, like I didn't know anyone who competed or anything like that, so it was sort of I didn't really know who to ask for it, but that is what I found, and that was really, really helpful. And that's on Compact, her name is, so that's where I just got away from it, and I literally just winged it. I'm not even gonna lie, I just winged it. From there, I was like, this is what I need, sort of picking stuff up put the way. But
yeah, but that's the great thing about social media. I think, you know, social media as a platform for athletes is a great way of sharing your experience, and this is the reason why I want to really dive into bikini and talk about the posing, the shoes, you know, getting all those bits together, because it's given the next batch coming through more insight, right? Because they might be in the same position of you, like in terms of, oh, I'm not quite sure who to ask. So the more information that's out there and accessible, the more it will enable the next lot of bikini pros to come through, right, and actually know what is actually required.
Yeah, no, exactly that. And it is a bit like, it is not scary, but it's a bit like there's a lot to it that you have to think about. Like you say, you've got jewelry, bikini, heels, and then like there's just loads of like extra little bits that you need, like we call it like bikini taped, so that it actually holds onto you and doesn't sort of come off on stage, like just things like that. Yeah. Again, things I wouldn't have even thought about unless I saw on someone's page or on this website. So I literally was just sitting there for hours going through Instagram, like this is what I need, making lists everywhere, sort of ticking stuff off. I'm quite sort of like not OCD, but like I want to make sure I've got everything. So I was literally like just preparing myself for everything. But yeah, there's people who you can talk to, like there's people, even some of the guys at my gym, like I was talking to them, they'd be like, well, I've got this friend who might be able to help you, or she said this, like it was sort of like that. So it was like word of mouth and then looking stuff up. But yeah, I was just figuring stuff out for myself, to be honest.
Self-empowered journey.
Yeah, honestly.
So tell me a little bit about, okay, going into that Supernatural show, okay? So, you know, obviously you're ticking all the boxes with training, nutrition, you're getting your advice, you got all your bikini, you got your shoes, and you're ready. Talk to me about the build-up of going into the Supernatural show that we did in Birmingham in October last year. You know, how was you feeling?
So I was actually, that must have been my 4th show, I reckon, but I was more nervous for that one than anything else, purely because it was a natural show. And the other ones I've done wasn't just for naturals, like they were for sort of everyone. Yeah. So I didn't really know how I would compare to other naturals. I know that some, like the standard that was at that show, like it was high. And I don't really know what I expected, because like I say, like obviously you see people at the other shows and you think like, wow, they look amazing. So I didn't really know what to expect from a fully natural show. So I think that's what I was nervous about, how I would compare against other people. But yeah, again, like I didn't think about stepping on stage or anything. The week building up to it, I was just doing what I did before, like eating my chicken and asparagus, drinking my water, that sort of thing every day, training. And then because where it was in Birmingham, which is like 4 hours from me, obviously drove up the day before, stayed in a hotel, which is my favourite bit. You know what? As nervous as I am for a show, the night before when you've got your tan on and you're just chilling with your like glass of wine, that's my favourite bit. That's when I just chill out. I'm like, right, I'm ready. And then but I actually started talking to some of the girls when we was getting our tan, which relaxed me a lot, because I didn't know anyone out there. Like I was on my own. So even just to speak to girls, and obviously I've got their numbers on WhatsApp, and I think WNBF actually made a WhatsApp group, if I remember. So everyone was talking anyway, which was really nice, because you don't get that with other shows. So that relaxed me a little bit as well, because everyone was talking anyway. So you sort of saw someone who you was talking to on this WhatsApp group and be like, oh, like you're blah blah blah. So
but it's always nice, a nice little community kind of going into anything that you're just not unsure of.
Yeah, exactly. But I jumped in that show quite last minute actually. I was looking, where it was my first season, I just wanted to do as many shows as possible. But I wanted to sort of end on a natural show, and I found that, and I was just like, I need to do this. Like it's a national show as well. Like how unreal would that be? But I didn't sort of go into it expecting anything. Obviously, everyone wants to win, but like I was just like, just do it. Because the week before I did a show called Battle of Bedford, and I actually come 4th. And I just remember I come off stage in absolutely like hysterics. So I was literally so upset. I come off and I was like, I'm never stepping on stage again. I'm never competing again, because I just didn't understand why I come 4th. And then obviously I was just like, oh, you know what? I'll just do one more show and sort of see how it goes, sort of thing. And then it just happens to go very, very well. and I was like, oh, actually, no, I like doing this still.
So talk to me about the backstage. So when you're prepping before you go onto stage, what's it like, in a female dressing room where you've got, loads of makeup things happening, hair being done, because obviously there's a lot more stuff happening on the female side than the male side. The male side just needs to slip their trunks on and just get the tan and top up and then out they go kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'm guessing on the female side,
I don't think it's fair that boys get it. Boys get it so easy. It's not even funny. It is chaos in the girls' dressing room. I can't even like we was all in obviously we was all in one room, but we've got everyone in one room, like all the girls from all the categories, and obviously everyone's got different types of like bikinis, like figures got different sort of outfits, so it's just like I can't even explain. Everything is everywhere. Everyone's suitcases over on the floor. Everyone's sort of tripping over everything. Everyone's sort of asking for things. Oh, have you got this? Everyone's trying to ask you to do their bikini up. You're trying to get yourself ready. Like, it is mad. But the atmosphere in that changing room was so good. Like, everyone hypes each other up. No one's. I think a lot of people expect it to be a little bit bitchy. But it really, for that show, it really wasn't. Everyone was just sort of hyping each other up. Everyone was being. We was just having fun, and it does take your mind off the fact of any nerves, because you obviously talk to the girls who you're going on stage with, which just makes you a bit more chilled anyway. But yeah, it is at first very overwhelming. Like, you walk in, like I say, everything's I'd walked in a little bit late, and I was like, well, there's nowhere for me. Like, I literally squeezed in the corner. I was like, I'll just have this bit of the mirror.
Find a little corner, right?
But no, it is. Once you're in there, it is literally such a nice atmosphere. Like, everyone, like I say, everyone's friendly. But yeah, there's just maybe a little bit more space needed, just because we're girls. But other than that, it is I like chilling backstage. Like, I do enjoy chilling backstage. Like, obviously, all once obviously it calms down a bit and everyone's ready, everyone just sits around. Like, we were actually watching the show on one of the girls had her phone up, and we was watching it through the speakers, and obviously so we was watching the boys and things like that. And then we just sort of eat. I eat a lot of sweets backstage. Like, literally, I ate a lot of sweets. Sometimes I have a little bit of wine just before going on, and then obviously we just wait to be called.
Nice. But then obviously there's a key importance of making sure that you have everything with you, right? So that's why when I see a lot of the female competitors, they got suitcases. I can't even imagine what is even in those suitcases. I'm guessing it's got the whole world and plus more, right? Because last minute you would want it, and you just don't want the person that doesn't have it, right? So I'm guessing preparation is key.
Yes, yeah. So where I was doing sort of back-to-back shows, I didn't even unpack my suitcase, because I was like, I know I know everything in that suitcase is what I need, and I'm not taking anything out of it because I'll forget something otherwise. Like I said, I'm very sort of need to make sure I've got everything. I must admit, I did bring a suitcase and some extra bags, and I can't even tell you what was even in there. I had a pillow with me. I actually had a pillow with me, and a mat. I remember I bought a mat to just in case I wanted to lay down backstage. I had everything you could think of, I had in that bag. But even when you go down to backstage, you take your bands, your heels, your robe. I take my sweets, just to eat some sweets before we go on. I can't even think what other girls. You just got to make sure you got everything, jewelry on, everything like that. Ready to go. Yeah. Just even little things. I know you get your makeup done there, but I take my bag. I take a bag of makeup with me, just in case, I don't know, something goes horrifically wrong with my makeup. Do you know what I mean? I think of everything and just take it, because I feel I'd rather overpack than forget something. Even when we went Vegas, I put my bikini and my heels in my hand luggage, because I was like, that way if they lose my suitcase, I've got my bikini and my heels with me. There's a lot to think about.
Nice. So talk to me about being at the side of the stage, ready to go on at that Supernatural show. What was going through your mind? How was you feeling? Was you just anxious to just get out there and just be up there amongst different natural athletes? What was going through your mind at the time when you was lining up at the side?
I go really quiet when I'm backstage, and it's just purely because of nerves. I remember we were queuing up. We must have been queuing up backstage, yeah. And I just like the girls were sort of talking, but I just go very like I'm listening, but I literally can't even speak. Even if I wanted to join in, I couldn't. Like I just go really nervous. And like I say, my legs, no matter what, even if I feel like I'm not nervous, my legs will shake. And it's something that's what I'm trying to think of, just to be like, stop shaking, and just sort of like relax. But obviously when you're pumping up, that's when I start feeling a bit better, because I'm like, I feel a bit pumped, like I feel good, blah, blah. And then obviously you walk on, and it's weird, like, because you can't see the audience, or the people in the crowd, like you can't see them. It was like black, and that's what I remember. And I remember thinking like, that was the first show where obviously I had my hair like that as well, and I was thinking, oh my god, like I know for a fact that I stood out, because none of the other girls obviously had their hair like that. So that was what was running through my mind as well. I was thinking they're either going to love this or absolutely hate it. It can go either way. But all the girls, like I say, were always lined up with each other. Oh, like everyone hypes each other. Everyone says, "Oh, you look really good. You look really good." Go through your posing. I always go through my posing even before I'm stepping on. Like a second before, I'll go through my posing quick. And then it's weird. Like the second I'm on stage, that's it. I forget everything, like any nerves, anything like that, and I'm just on it, and it will just literally just naturally happens. You just naturally hit your poses and just enjoy yourself. But I remember we was on stage, and we literally must have gone through. They did like the call out, so they're called top 5, and then we must have gone through it once, and then they were like, okay, I can't remember what my number was, but they were like, move to the side, and they moved to the side of the stage, and I was at the side of the stage, like literally, I thought I was going to burst into tears, because that's what they did to me at the show the week before, and I thought, oh my god, I haven't placed. And I just remember standing there, I was trying to smile, and I was literally like, I haven't placed, and I was just, my face was just going, I was like, no, just smile, like just in case this is just for whatever reason they put me to the side of the stage. And I just kept sort of switching up my places, and I'll come off, and I was like, I knew one of the guys that worked there, and I come off and I was like, oh my god, like I don't know what to do, like, because obviously we had to go back on to do the eye walk, and I was just like, I don't want to go back on, like I was sulking. I'm not when I was sulking, so I was like, I've got to move to the side of the stage, blah blah blah. Like I was so upset. But obviously that is a good thing, which I've now found out. But yeah, at the time, again, where I was fairly new, I didn't know what that meant.
Because I imagine that would be very confusing, especially if you went to another federation and they did it that way, and then you got a different result. So you just assume that that's the same process, right? Whereas
I was just
different.
in my head, I was just thinking, oh my goodness, like not again, like. And then like I said, I'll come off, and I was obviously all the girls talk about it. Oh, like that was so much fun, and I was like, yeah, no, it was fun. I was like, I don't know why I got moved to the side of the stage though. Like, just trying to see like if anyone could tell me why I got moved. But like,
so after that, they moved. So you came off. So you done your compulsories and your comparisons, and they take you off, and then you had to come back off your eye walk, right?
Yeah, which is different. Never done it like that before. Normally they do it all at once. So you'll come on, everyone will do their poses in the line, might call out top 5 or whatever, and then come back in line, and then whilst you're still on stage, you'll just do your eye walk. So that was new to me as well, coming off and then going back on. But I quite like doing it that way, because it sort of made it more of a day, if that makes sense. Like, whereas instead of waiting all day to be called out to do like 5 minutes on stage, like you got to go on stage, come off, and then you went back on again. So I quite like the way that WNBF did that. But yeah, then you come on to your eye walk. But again, it's weird, like I feel like no matter what, even if you just steps on stage, like when you're waiting to go, and you always just feel like it might be nerves, but it might be like more adrenaline. But they were playing music, and I just remember like everyone was like dancing backstage to music, so we weren't even thinking about it, because we were just like at that point where I just thought it's gone either way. I was like, I'm just gonna have fun with it, like I'm not even gonna stress myself. Like, well, I was still like, I wasn't sulking still obviously, but I was literally like, I don't know what it meant, so I was just like, let's just go have fun with it. So,
you know what? That's the thing. I think everyone has that switching point on stage at some point, right? So you go from that being that nervous person and being like, oh, you know what? I've done half the work. So whatever it is, right? Just go enjoy the rest of it. And I always say it's all about just getting that experience more than anything. Don't overthink the result before you know the result. Just enjoy the process and enjoy being up there. You know, because they gave us a hell of a lot of stage time, and other federations don't do that. Like milk that when you got that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I did. I remember, because I was in my head, it's weird, like even though there's music and people shouting stuff, I can literally only hear what I'm saying to myself in my head, and I was just saying, just go slow, because I was very known for sort of rushing through my eye walk. Like I'd literally be like, quick, because I don't know why, that's just how I used to do it. It might have been nerves, but I was like, you know what, just take time with it. And I did. I literally just took my time with it, had a little kick at the end, like a little sassy thing, then walked off. And I just thought, we literally come straight off, and I swear every girl come off, and there was some table and they had like cakes on. As soon as we was off that stage, everyone was at the cake table, and you didn't even think about what you just done, because the thing is, there's no point of thinking like, oh, what if I didn't do that? But I wonder if I don't hold that pose. Like, you've done it, like it's done. There's nothing, you can't change anything. You can just sort of obviously improve on it next time, and that's all I tell myself. That's what I told myself when I come off. But yeah, it was a lot of fun backstage. Obviously there was Z from UK Beef was there doing some interviews and things like that. So we was all just sort of having fun with that. And then obviously
right? Yeah, and then you know, tell us what happened next. What happened when you went back on? Come on.
I can't remember if they brought us back on straight away or if we waited again to be called out. We must have been brought back on straight away. And yeah, we were at the side of we did, because we were at the side of the stage. And this is the bit I absolutely love. This bit, I don't know why, I just absolutely love the call outs. Like in my head, I was like, oh yeah, of course someone's got to win it now. Like it's weird. Like this is what I say to people. I just think about everything step by step. Like I don't even think what's next. I think of what do I need to do right now. So I'll compete, and then I'm like, oh yeah, of course now they need to announce the result. Like I don't think, oh, like when are they going to announce it? It's so strange. But yeah, obviously we was on stage. He called third, and I was like, okay, like it's so horrible. It is horrible when they're calling the results, because you're literally standing there thinking, just don't say my name for like no one wants their name to be called out for like third. Everyone wants to be first, don't they? So no one wants their name to be called out third or second. Obviously they called third, and I was like, all right, okay. And then they called second, and when they called second, I was thinking, oh my god, like I haven't played, and I was just like, I haven't, like there's just no, like I wasn't expecting it at all, and I was just like, oh my god. And I remember, because there's a video and my face is sort of dropped when I realised. I thought, oh, that's done. And then they sort of called my name, and I didn't clock it at first because I wasn't really listening to it. It's so strange, I wasn't listening to it. And then I said to the girl next to me, I was like, what did they just say? Like,
confirmation.
And then I was just on stage, and then to be honest, anything after that, when we were standing like sort of first, second, third, was just a blur, because I just couldn't even believe it.
You're still trying to process. They've actually called out your name and you actually won.
I couldn't even process it. I was like, what is happening? They brought out that massive, like, it's in front of me, that massive like trophy, like she's literally like, I think she's massive, and I was like, that's for me. I was like, that's mine.
That's why I love it when it's just so unexpected, because you just get a genuine, and it's just like gobsmacked type of response, and you're like, that person truly deserved it. They weren't expecting it.
Yeah, no, it was literally completely unexpected. And obviously they're bringing out this massive trophy, which I've always, like, since I've wanted to compete, was like, I want that trophy, like that bikini girl, like she's big. Like, I want that trophy. Then they brought that out, medals. Then they're like, oh, and then this is your pro card. It was just everything. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? It was a lot, but it was like the most unreal feeling, like to win an overall as well. Like I wasn't expecting to win an overall at all.
Yeah.
Like at all. Like that was just mad.
That's, you know, your story is an epic story of someone just generally kind of drifting into health and fitness, just using it as a stepping stone to kind of better themselves, and, you know, getting excited more and more, getting into it a little bit deeper, and just taking it to the level you're taking it, and just got a pro card at the end of it. Like, wow, that is epic. 100%
it's insane. And you know what? Like, I've always been one of these people who, like, never sort of found what it is that they like. All these people who've got like hobbies and like things like that, passions and things like football, dancing, anything like that, I've never found sort of my like passion or anything like that. Whereas now I'm like, oh, I finally found it. Like I finally found it, like in bodybuilding, and like and it's just my favorite thing in the world. Like I just love doing it.
Nice. Well done. So I got that pro win. What happened next? Obviously, because we all knew that there was some up for grabs, the world's invites, etc. Was that even on your radar, or, you know, what happened after the show? Did you just kind of just go and enjoy the win and then made a little decision after? How did it go for you?
Yeah, so I was a bit like, obviously we got the Vegas invites, and I remember thinking like, oh, I didn't really think anything of it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out to that, because I just felt that was meant to be my last show. I was meant to finish with that one. And then I went back to the gym and obviously was talking to people about it. Everyone was really excited, and obviously I was still really excited about it, and I was still in shape, and the Worlds wasn't long after, so it was very, very tempting. It was just more obviously the sort of financial side of things, because competing abroad is expensive. But where it was like the Worlds, it's sort of like I could justify it. So I was like really, really swayed, and then obviously I went into work. And I just mentioned it to work because, again, the time off where it was so soon, it wasn't something I was expecting to be able to get off. And I mentioned it, and literally within 5 minutes, my manager come up to me and he was like, "You're going." He was like, "You're going to the Worlds." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, you're going." And he was like, "You're not questioning it. Like, we've got you the time off." Like, he literally sorted it, and it was literally just from there, just like rolled. And I was like, "All right, flights, hotel, like I'm going. Let's just do it." And then and I'm so glad I did it because it's literally like the best experience so far. Even though I didn't place, I'm glad I went. Very glad I went.
And did you change anything going into the Worlds, or did you keep your training and nutrition pretty much exactly the same?
No, we kept it pretty much exactly the same. Literally same food, same training. Where it was for me, it was more maintaining. There wouldn't have been enough time to sort of build what I would need really, which is sort of annoying in a sense because obviously we went into that in the pro categories, and which is a very, very high standard, even though the amateur standard is high. Obviously pro is like literally like next level. And you could see the girls have been doing it for years, so they did have a bit on me. So maybe if it was in like a year's time, then I would have been alright. But a few weeks, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to maintain what I've got, and then just take that and see what it is. But for that, where I knew like I didn't have as much sort of volume and like fullness and sort of definition as the other girls, for me on stage, I was like, well, they've got that. My thing was literally just to do like my stage presence, which is like the posing, like being really, really sassy with it, and my look, that sort of thing. And I did get called out in top 5. I did get called out, and I took that. I was like, yep, I'll take that. That's fine. They noticed me. Do you know what I mean? And obviously we'll see what we can bring for this year. But if I had more time, I would have switched it up. But it was just a case of maintaining it because we had like it must have been.
I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, right? Something like that. It was tight. It was tight. But I think Vegas was an amazing experience across the board, right? You know, even just to just step and just kind of be part of that experience, especially after being in lockdown for such a long time. It was one of those opportunities kind of like, well, you just don't know if there's going to be another lockdown. So let's just milk it and just enjoy it to the max. So obviously you went to Vegas and there was loads of people from around the world. How did that feel compared to being backstage in the UK? Because obviously now you're seeing physiques from around the world.
Yeah, it was just surreal. Like even to this day, I think back and think, oh my god, like did we actually go there and do that? Like it was just mad. I think the atmosphere was just insane. Like even it's weird. Like even if a lot of people out there like in amount of people from Spain, but they spoke English, and everyone was still just as much hyping each other up, that sort of thing. Like I just feel like where there was more people as well, and everyone was in the same hotel, weren't we? So it was just like a nice atmosphere, like even throughout the whole week, because you sort of knew who was competing, like you knew which groups were competing, that sort of thing. So I thought that was really fun. And what I liked about it is the fact that we went out as a team, which is like quite unusual for bodybuilding, because normally obviously you compete on your own. Like I went to all the shows basically on my own. So to be with people and obviously do everything together and know that you've got a group of people in the crowd who's actually there like shouting for you was really nice. Like
the squad was big. The squad, team was huge.
A little GP squad. Exactly. It was nice because if everyone had their t-shirts on, you was doing it as like a group rather than on your own, like and stressing on your own. Like I remember when they wasn't letting people into the actual backstage unless you was going on into that like whole bit. And I remember just looking at the door thinking like, okay, no one else is doing bikini in the pro. Obviously Emma did it in amateur, but like in the pro bit. And I remember looking at the door and Sam was literally had her head round and she was just waving at me because she couldn't come in. She wouldn't let her in. She was still there, like do this with your bands, like pump up, do this, like shouting at me. So like that was nice as having like that sort of extra support, because you're in a different country. Like it's weird, like it is a sort of weird feeling that you're not like home, so like we didn't have like family members and things like that in the audience. Like it was weird in that sense, but it was nice because you knew that like we were all sort of a team, we was all there together.
100%. And I think, you know, I like the fact that we had the WhatsApp group before we went out there, so everyone could establish relationships, get a little bit of banter happening inside there, and people can help each other out in terms of getting stuck on application processes and all of those kind of things.
Oh God, yeah.
Just went out there as a team, just knowing each other, because I think that's the biggest thing. I think, you know, when I look at all some of the other countries, there was only like a handful of them. So, you know, we went out there real strong, and our presence was felt in that audience.
Yeah, 100. All you can hear in the videos is people shouting for each other. Like, I think I lost my voice by the end of it. I come off. Yeah. It's strange. And I was saying this the other day to someone at the gym. I come off, and obviously I didn't place. Like I think I come sixth. But that didn't bother me. Like I come off and I literally was buzzing through. Like I was in the audience, I absolutely screamed people's names. I wasn't even thinking about where I'd placed. And like people was coming first, people was getting pro cards. Like you were just so gassed for them. Like it was just such a mad feeling, because we went out there and where we were so close for like a week, like we was all together like 24/7. Like it's weird. Like you wasn't just caring about where you placed. Like you cared about where everyone was, what was going on with everyone. So it was nice.
It was definitely a shared experience, and you know, it was an experience I'm going to, you know, remember for a very long time. And obviously after the show, you know, it was all about food, it was all about enjoying yourself and stuff like that. And you know, going through your gram, you got some epic pictures of you out in Vegas, so your memories are going to be super sharp for Vegas.
We were literally like, we need some pictures out here. Like that's my one thing. If I was going to say to anyone, take pictures, and people said this to me, take pictures, but I just didn't. Like I don't know why, I just never found the time backstage, even though bikini's normally the last category to go on, to actually take pictures. I'd never want to go outside. So me and Sam was like, let's go. Like we was walking down like 30 degrees heat, and everyone was staring at us, but you know it was Vegas, so no one questioned it. So,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. There is no no weird stuff in Vegas. Everything is just going to be just out of the right? Yeah. Literally,
so we was like, and the sun was out, like it was perfect pictures. So we were just like getting as many as possible. It was like, we're here. Yeah. We like you say, they're all my Insta. So
it's a great wrap up to the end of the season. And I think, you know, that's sometimes what you just need. You just need to just end it on a high. And it was just a great all-time, you know, once in a lifetime experience. So obviously now you're fully into off season, and you're eating more, you're lifting more, because obviously, you know, when we spoke before we started the recording, you're saying you're feeling stronger, you know. So what's off season looking like for you at the moment? Is there a solid plan in place to, you know, to see Lucy version 2.0 for, you know, 2022?
Yeah, so when we first went to off season, was absolutely like, just lost my mind. I was like, oh my goodness, like I feel like a lot of people, even if it's not your first off season, go through it where they're like, they don't want to let go of their prep body. They're sort of like, where you're in a routine for so long, it's very hard sort of coming out of that, knowing that you're coming out of it to put weight on, to put fat on as well. And that's something that, where it's my first off season, I've never done before. It's not something that I, a few years ago, would have necessarily been comfortable with. Like I said, I've always been very small, but now I'm like, I know what I need to do. I know that I don't want to step on stage looking like I did last year. Like I want to be fuller, I want more volume, I want bigger muscles, like all of that. And I know to do that, you need to eat, like you say, to grow. So that's literally what I'm doing. So I've got a plan, and it is working. Like I can literally see my progress, and the fact I'm seeing results and seeing progress, like my legs, my bum is getting bigger. We're getting bigger in all the right places. So it's working. And like I say, I'm lifting heavier. Like I'm hip thrusting 180. I'm doing leg press for like 240. I've done a lot of PRs lately, and that is because obviously I'm eating a lot more, and like a lot more of like variety of food as well. So it's looking good.
Nice. And is there any plans for competing this year?
Yes, so I'm looking to compete around September time, because I feel like that gives me enough time to do what I need to do, and obviously build, grow, put up sort of like getting bigger muscle fibers, that sort of thing, muscle tissue. So yeah, I'm looking at September time, and that's when I competed last year. Maybe I might jump in one show before that, I don't know, but I'm looking like for the physique that I want September time.
Okay. Nice. And what about utilizing your pro card? You're gonna go for a pro show? You
what?
battle up against those other bikini.
Yeah, we will. I definitely am gonna jump in some. I feel like this is probably the only thing that I'm not quite understanding with the pro card, if that's solely what I need to compete in, or if I can compete in other shows. That is not something that I've worked out yet for myself.
With the WNBF, then you would definitely need to do a pro show, if that makes sense, because you're a bikini pro. So yeah, you'll have to look at the pro options on that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm definitely competing with WNBF this year. So yeah, I'll be jumping in the pro show for that. And then yeah, other shows we will see. I might go pro. Depends what how much we grow in that space.
Well, it sounds like you've got a solid plan ahead and you're super excited, and you're obviously making headways already with your PRs and stuff like that. So I have no doubt we're going to see an epic version of Lucy very soon on that stage. So tell me, so what advice would you give to anyone considering becoming competing as a bikini competitor? What are some of the key things that you've kind of learned along the way that you feel like, this might be worth highlighting to those coming into competing?
You know what? My main thing would probably be, and it's like cringe as this sounds, but like just don't compare yourself to other people that you see on Instagram or in the videos or things like that. And don't, like, for example, don't look at a girl and think like, oh, it's hard to explain. Like, don't look at a girl and think that's why don't I look like that? Because you don't know what she's doing, especially in the bodybuilding industry, necessarily to get that physique. So she might be taking certain things to reach that level, whereas you're not, which is why she's at that level with her body and you're not. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like a lot of people come in and don't realise that, especially with girls, that girls might be taking stuff. Yeah. And so they're looking at these girls thinking, well, why is my body not like that? It's because it's just a completely different sort of category and sort of level to the industry. So there's a lot of different things in the industry that people don't necessarily realise when they first step into it. Yeah. And I feel like that's when it gets to people and starts messing with their head a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So just don't compare yourself to anyone. Like, just do you, and obviously do it how you want to do it. Don't let anyone sort of sway you in any direction. And yeah, just sort of have fun with it, but don't let as well anything like mess with your head as well, like with the social media, things like that. Like I say, a lot of comparisons. Just take it step by step, and it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't happen overnight. So don't give up within like the first month just because you're not seeing anything. All I did was, especially when I first started doing it, was I took pictures daily, like literally daily. Like, my phone bill is horrific, but literally took pictures every single day. And with that, I was seeing it. Like, I was actually seeing it. It might have taken a few months, but I could see sort of progress, and that's what sort of kept me going, because I was like, well, it is working. It's a slow process, but it's working. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realise. It takes a while to reach certain levels. So just keep going with it, because it will happen. It will happen.
100%. You've got to be consistent with that process. So
yeah,
you heard it there from our WNBF UK Pro Bikini champion. So that's some takeaways there for you guys. So Lucy, before we wrap things up, give people your social media handles so they can follow you and understand your journey of what you're currently going through in your off season, and just follow you to your next stage.
Yes, so my Instagram is lucylifts_bikini pro. Literally that's the only thing I use. So everything about me or that I'm doing is on there. So yeah, give me a follow.
Nice. Get following Lucy for all of those insights into, competing as a bikini competitor, and just reach out to her if you got any questions or anything. Lucy, thank you very much for coming on to know. It's been a pleasure into the world of bikini and hearing your story. And I said, your story is an epic one, going from someone who just generally just casually went into fitness to becoming a pro, That's a solid story. So you should be super proud of that one, definitely.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys. But before we wrap it up, I just want to say a big shout out to our sponsors. You got CMP Nutrition. Okay, shout out to those guys continuously showing us support to WNBF UK. And just remember, guys, we've got 2 big shows this year. Okay, so we've got the First Timers and the Novice show on the 17th of July, and then we got the big Supernatural Open Championships on the 9th of October. So we've got 2 great opportunities for you to compete with WNBF UK. So let's make it happen. Let's keep grinding. Let's keep working towards it. And you know, I'm sure, no doubt, we're going to see, you know, Lucy 2.0 real soon. So yeah, it's going to be epic.
Yes, I will see you there for sure.
All right, nice one, guys.
Check out CMP, our sponsors, and sign up for our events at www.wnbfuk.com.